Apple Music. Apple Music, Deezer, I think Google Podcasts or something. All sorts of podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we publish it everywhere. So you were talking about the restrictions in Europe. So if you have a German passport, you can, when you get there, but how does it work? I mean, the quarantine. I mean, do they check if you didn't leave the house or something, or?
Yes, you see, I became a specialist in this field. I made it my priority these days. I discovered a really helpful website which informs you where you want to go and where you're traveling from. So Expedia COVID restrictions.
Oh, right.
You can
Expedia, I know Expedia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they were very clever to develop a part of the website which allows you to basically put in the destination you're traveling from and the one that you wish to go to. Right. So it gives you a clear headline. Yes, you can go unless you were in this country in the last 14 days, then you cannot enter, and you need to fill out this form, and you need a PCR test. So it's very simple. It gives you the total guideline,
right.
And it's really good, you know. And mostly the Brazilians, they're blocked, you know, to enter. But having the European passport was really best thing for the COVID. If you wanted to travel, you know, in Europe, they let us enter in almost all of the countries. Germany, you have a quarantine if you're not vaccinated for 14 days. England, 10 days. And Spain, no quarantine.
But did they check? I mean, you went to Germany, of course, and then when you got there, how did it work? I mean, did they? Oh, you have to quarantine, but they're not going to send you to a hotel. I mean, you have to go home and you can't leave your house.
Yes, well, in Germany, they didn't check, but I did call the authorities to see if I could travel back earlier, because I wanted to travel back to Brazil. And the authorities said, no way, you have to complete 14 days and you can travel on the 15th day. And then, for example, in England, they're more strict, whereas they call you once a day and they check if you're out.
Oh, Melanie's not here. She hasn't been around in a while. I haven't seen her since she got in from Brazil.
Yeah.
She's crazy. That girl's crazy. I haven't seen her.
Yeah, you can either, you know, like not answer or like reply in a text, you know. But I mean, I did my quarantines, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if you go there, I think it makes sense for you to comply with the rules that are there, even though if you don't agree with them or whatever, you know. But you know, since
rules are meant to be followed, right?
You can question them, but if you're gonna break them, you're gonna get and in places like Germany, I mean, you know more than I do, but if you go against the system, it's highly likely that they're gonna get you one way or another, you know. So
yeah, of course. No, I in Germany actually it was full on quarantine for me, and it was nice because I was staying in my home, which it's
and you had to do a PCR test before leaving Brazil, right?
Yes.
To board the plane.
This I had to do. However, flying back as well. But like, yeah, I had like, my backyard was a forest, like lots of greenery. I didn't need to go anywhere really. Like,
you didn't have to be stuck in a room.
No, exactly. Right. It was like, my backyard was like acres of greenland. So like the quarantine was super, super nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Enjoyable.
And then after Germany, you said you went to Spain or other countries, or no restrictions whatsoever?
Well, then I did come back to Brazil, and then I was actually flying out the same day again. And I was worried because I just completed 14 days in Germany, which then gave me the green light to enter all of the other European cities. but I had to bring my daughter home, you know, and then I knew I was gonna be blocked again from certain countries. So my plan to go to the UK was cancelled because I had to step foot in Brazil, even if though it was like a few hours. Transit is counted as.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So then again, I was blocked from the UK, so I didn't go there.
Even if you don't leave the plane or don't leave the airport or something? It's just-
Yes, even
Right.
if they put the word transit, so
right.
they were counted as a foot in the forbidden country. So yeah, this cancelled my plans to go to the UK, but then I figured out a way to wing it. So basically, Spain. If you put Spain as the destination, it will say no this, no that, no that. But if you put in the field Balearic Islands,
Right.
it gives you a whole other green light. So like Menorca,
See,
Mallorca,
it pulls you.
Ibiza.
It pulls you. Said, come here, come
With
here,
the
be
wide
happy.
open, yes,
Exactly,
yes,
be happy. Forget about Germany or
yes.
these other places. Come here, come here.
Yes, they embrace you with open arms, and you know, so you do a little transit there.
So it's
spend a few
basically
days,
Menorca and Ibiza.
Ibiza, yeah.
Right.
There were more like easygoing, so and then from there, like they don't really check anymore.
I mean, you've been a world traveler for a long time. I mean, you're not old, but for basically your adult life, you have been traveling a lot throughout the world. Yeah, exactly. But how crazy is the moment that we live in, and did you imagine that something even remotely close to this would ever happen?
Silvio, I still can't get my head around it, really.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day. I said to my driving instructor, I said, can you believe we're now like literally 2 years with our mask on? Like, that's just, if you really think about it, 2 whole years you're wearing a mask.
Yeah.
That's just so bizarre for me. And yeah, I just can't get my head around it. Like, and I think everyone, you know, is like looking for that little piece of hope, and you know, it's tough.
Yeah.
Such a crazy era,
Yeah.
such a crazy era.
Yeah, I mean, because you're used to like going everywhere, like anytime you want, and obviously motherhood, you know, puts a big halt in all of that. But you're used to traveling the world and you know, being a world citizen and going everywhere, you know, that your life leads you, and then
yes, it feels
all of
like
a sudden you're grounded for 2 years.
Yes,
you know, it's like
yes, it feels like a bit of a lost identity as well. You know, like when you dedicate your life to one whole career path and you work so hard on it, and that's your identity, and then the world stands still, and then you start to lose that image, you know, like, who am I? Like, am I a DJ? Like, no, but I'm not at the moment. Like, is it gonna get back there? You know, like, a lot of the DJs are having a really hard time about this identity crisis. And I do believe it's awoke a lot of really strong feelings towards like almost depression, you know, because it's such a high life, you know, the high of being the superstar DJ, earning this high amount of fee, and then like you're at a standstill, and the mortgages and everything that you're supposed to pay and that falls on your back, then it's just stopped, you know, and there's no uncertainty. I mean, there's only uncertainty, you know, like, and also the fact that a lot of my DJ friends have these high fees that are in front of you, and it's like, hey, this weekend I'm gonna give you 70,000 US dollars to play in Miami, and then you can enter Miami. And this is another trigger that really kills a lot of my friends, because there is it's desperation, 2 years on a standstill. Now things are coming back, but then you cannot take the opportunity because you cannot enter the States.
And that's so crazy because it doesn't make any sense. I think the most difficult part for me is that there are so many rules that don't make any sense, and I feel like they don't have the slightest idea of what they're doing. I mean, how are you gonna get a guy from Spain and keep him from entering the US, which is like today, it's the worst place for COVID in the world right now. It's a fact. I mean, it's not something that I feel like it's just a mathematical fact. I mean, it's most cases and most deaths per day in the world today is the States, and a guy that coming from Spain with a negative PCR test, vaccinated or whatever, I'm not sure what's the case with your friend, but I'm guessing like he wants to make $70,000, so he'll vaccinate, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So a guy vaccinated with a negative PCR test, and he can't enter Florida.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm sure if you asked the governor of Florida, he said you can come in, you know.
Yeah, of course. Because his colleague is then getting the money, and then he says, but why is he entering? And then they said, well, he's married with an American woman. That's
right.
why.
Right.
So then.
So no quarantines, no nothing. I think it's the same
Yeah.
thing for Brazilians, right? I think when Trump was leaving office, he lifted the ban on several countries, including Brazil.
Yeah.
And then when the new government stepped in, I mean, they put the sanctions back in. It's like it's not time to lift sanctions or everything. So I think a lot of European countries and Brazil, like they halted those plans again. But if you're Brazilian, you can quarantine in Mexico or these other countries and enter the US.
Yes.
Which is also crazy.
It's also crazy because in the end, I was looking into that option as well, but it's like, it's crazy expensive. You are, spending every day a hotel, 14 days, just then to enter in the States, and then it's like, to be there one more week, it's like you lose 3 weeks of your life, if you don't get the shows in Mexico to make up for the days, like it's just bizarre.
You know what people are doing?
What?
Basically,
Spill the beans.
Crazy as it sounds, like Paraguay, there are no restrictions.
Oh yeah.
Right? So
there's one restriction.
You can quarantine in Paraguay and go to the States as a Brazilian, right? So what people would do, and countries around South America, you can enter them and leave with an ID, just a regular photo ID. I mean, it's a Brazilian ID, So people will enter Paraguay with your passport, and they would leave like the next day with an ID. And then 2 weeks later, they would fly into Paraguay, get in with the ID, and then fly out from Paraguay to the States and just enter the States.
But how many days did they have to be in Paraguay?
14 days. But you don't have to. You can just go to Paraguay overnight. And then you can leave with your ID. But the stamp on your passport, it's going to say you entered Paraguay 14 days ago. And then you can come home. It's a little bit tricky, but it's better than spending 15 days in Tulum, right?
Yeah, of
so
course.
The guys...
a lot cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, so you travel back and forth from Paraguay, and then 14 days later, you go back to Paraguay, you enter with your ID, and then you leave Paraguay with your passport, and you enter the States.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just thinking of the
same
scheme for Europe.
They were catching on to that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you try that?
Of course not. But people are doing that, and people were, doing that successfully.
Oh, wow.
So it's just insane. It's just.
Yeah, and also like I was thinking of this strategy as well for the European side with the same thing. If you have an ID of the European Union, you don't have to travel to the other countries with the passport.
Yeah.
So I just got my ID made.
It's the same thing. I mean, okay, if you fly from out of Spain, you don't need a quarantine. But if you fly out of Germany, you need a quarantine. You just enter with a passport and then go back home.
Yeah.
And then spend 14 days at home, then go back to Spain and then fly again. In what sense does it mean if you're in Paraguay or if you're in Brazil and they treat you differently and you also need a negative PCR test or a vaccine? You know, it's like.
And also these new rules that the UK said that you need to have a vaccination passport to enter the clubs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also like crazy, and also...
That's crazy how that passed. I don't know how that passed.
It was so quick. It was like from one day to the other, like, England is going back to normal, like rave life is back.
In June, right? They were supposed to go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then they changed it to July. And then to August. And then September you need a passport. So like I believe
keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah, exactly. So basically you need to be vaccinated to enter or DJ in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also what happened at the Met Gala yesterday. Some celebrities did not attend because they needed you to be vaccinated to attend the Met Gala.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And it's a difficult decision. I mean, my brother. This past weekend, you know, it was my birthday and his birthday, so we spent like together. And then after we came back from traveling, and he started to feel really bad. He took the AstraZeneca vaccine, right? So he started to feel really bad, started feeling sick, you know, cramps in his stomach, and it didn't pass. He took medicine, didn't pass, so he went to emergency room, right? So they did a MRI on him and then checked him, and he said, you have to go to surgery right now because he has these clots of blood right beside his intestine, like about 6 or 7 2 centimeters clots of blood, like right around, and they were clogging his intestine. So they put it through your armpit like a sucking device, you know, like, and they go all the way into your intestine and they suck out the clots, right? So the doctor didn't want to say it like out loud, but he said there's a chance it's because of the vaccine. He couldn't say for sure, but you know, and
but the Astra is known for blood clots.
Exactly. So he said, "What vaccine did you take?" He said, AstraZeneca. And the guy, but at the hospital, he couldn't say, and he couldn't say for sure because, you know, it could be a wide variety of things, but it's a coincidence, you know. It's like So you put 2 and 2 together, you know. It might not be, but you know. So when it comes down to, you know, making a choice about vaccinating or not, it's such a huge decision and it's a dangerous one. So you have to, you can't.
Now that you put exactly the light on it, you know, like it's really, it could maybe, you know, cause something so grave, or maybe not, you know. It's like putting a bet on your life, more or less, because we don't have an exact answer how it would turn out, as you were saying.
Yeah, and I mean, when you since you don't have that answer and it's a risk, I mean, you can't force people to have it, you know. And they said, no, you're not forcing people to have it, but what if you work? What if you have family somewhere else and you have to travel because they got sick or something? Oh, you can't go. You have to take a vaccine for it. What the hell are you talking about?
Or your work.
Yeah,
that,
I mean, you have no choice.
Brings bread and butter.
Yeah, you have no choice. It's not that you have a choice, and
or the airline workers. You know, like everyone's saying, if you don't get vaccinated, you can get fired. You know, it's tough. It's really tough.
It's crazy times. Did you read a book by George Orwell called 1984?
No, I'll put it on my book list right now.
It's so crazy how it applies to the world we live in today.
Really?
And it's basically a society in the future at the time where it's basically it can be convicted of thought crime. Like there's a thought police. Like if you think something and it's not right, then the policeman can come to your door and you can get arrested for it. You know, it's like total control of the society. It's really mind-blowing.
The freedom of thought.
Yeah, it's like you can get convicted of thought crime, just like religion, basically. And it's like, but it's crazy how you go through it. You know, I read it a couple of years ago, and when you think about it, how it sometimes makes you wonder that someone read the book and they said, let's apply this to real life, you know, because it's going to get us the control we need for whatever it is that we want to do, you know. So
when was this book written? Do we know?
I think in the 50s or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
It's sometimes when people talk about this control or whatever, that, you know, everybody's trying to put a hold on you, and they use the term like it's an Orwellian control, you know. It's like because of the author George Orwell. So it's like it's just insane, and it's like when I saw my brother go through that, you know, it might not have been, but you know, but it's a big decision, you know.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about vaccinating kids.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of friends of mine that are vaccinating their kids, you know, and it's like the chances of I was reading through, you know, there's my friend, a really good friend of mine that's been a huge reference in this pandemic, but a doctor called Roberto Zeballos. He's the father of the singer called Ziba, which
yes,
right, the ALOC song with Bruno Martini. Hear Me Now, and his father has been my doctor for years, and he was doing the math, right, of the chances of a child, a 12-year-old child, even an 18-year-old child, their chances of, you know, having complications due to COVID, and the chances that you have complications due to vaccine, and the vaccine complications were like 5 times higher than the COVID itself.
Wow.
So it's just a mathematical issue. It's not even like, oh, I won, you know, doctors differ, or it's not even like you can't discuss vaccines, you can't discuss medicine, but you can't discuss mathematics.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
that's true.
So
that's
it's like it's just insane, but I you know, like that, I respect it. If you want to do it to your son, you know, I'm just not going to do it to my kids, you know. And it's like,
I feel like that's, as we say, it's such a personal decision. I feel like the children should decide this when they're 18. I don't know. It's tough.
And by the way, I took the vaccine. I took the first shot, and I hadn't had COVID before I took the shot, and then I got COVID. Oddly enough, you know, I don't care. You know, it's just I have to. I'm almost 50. I'm 49, so I'm in the demographic, which is like the risk is not that. Yeah, but it's like that.
Not
it's like
quite there yet.
But the risk is like, you know, you can ponder, you know, of like, what is it worse for you to have like really bad COVID and then, or have some complications with the vaccine, you know, the complications and the risk, you know, it evens out a little bit more than an 18-year-old child, you know, teenager or whatever, you know, so it's like.
Yeah, but I think, which I'm very proud of you, you are still like a person that is dedicating a lot of effort and time for fitness. You know, you do your jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
You know, which is really good. And I think this is what we also need to focus on. Like, okay, vaccine talk, this, that, okay, but are you working out? Are you eating healthy? You know, like.
And nobody talks about that.
No, not enough.
I think it was 80-something% of the people who died from COVID in 2020 in the US were obese.
Yeah, yeah. It's.
Nobody says anything about eating healthy or being healthy, or, you know, and everybody wants this vaccine to come and save you, and like you had an entire year to take care of yourself. You understand this disease. Oh, people healthy get it too, and they die. Of course they do, but it's an exception. It's not the rule. You know, the rule is obese people that get it worse. You know. So.
Can I tell you about my experience?
Of course.
So
You're here to talk. I'm not here to talk. I'm talking too much.
No. So my experience on COVID, obviously at the beginning I was really scared more than the average, and I would like leave my house with gloves and the N95 mask, you know, and I decided that I will take care of my daughter alone for 5 months, and I was completely alone 5 months. No cleaner, babysitter, cook, nothing. It was just me doing all the chores while taking care of her. And then after a while, then we got more information. Okay, you're not gonna die if you get it. And then like at the end of the year, I went back to work, and I either got it from a photo shoot because I was shooting with another model. She was coughing a little bit, and she, like the makeup artist shares a little bit of the makeup,
Yeah.
so it could have been either that or also that week I went back to work to DJ.
Right.
So it could have been at the other job. So
Right.
then I suddenly felt that I had very like I work out a lot, but I was having more than usual pain in my muscles.
Right,
Yeah, I was
right.
really tired and this muscle ache.
Right.
And then the next day I did a test, and then I was like sweating a bit in the night.
But you know when you have it, don't you? I mean, when I had it, I thought, I have something different. This is different. This is not just a cold or anything.
Yeah, it was that we were so tired. Like really, I was just like felt like I could be on the couch all day, and I never feel like that. So basically, for me, in a nutshell, I was just having the symptoms of the muscles. One night I sweat so much, I changed 6 times.
Right.
6 times. And that was the first week, and then the second week I lost my smell and taste, and that was COVID for me. So I was quite lucky, and I feel like I was taking really good care of myself, and I think that did help my body.
Of course.
You know,
course
like
it
I
did, yeah.
really think so.
Yeah.
I was eating healthy, I was working out, I was taking supplements, you know, and and it was really like, it was really easy on me, thank God. And I feel so bad for the majority that have to go through complications. But I mean, there is one step that we can do, you know, to try to make it smoother if we do get it. And I really do think that's like the first step, taking care of yourself, you know. If you do your vaccine or not is your personal choice, you know. But I feel like you have to make the decision for yourself and don't feel the peer pressure of anyone to, you know, like.
Either way. I mean, you have to. It's like living life, isn't it? It's like you have to assess the risk and the reward, and you know, make your decision.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically that. But you can't force anybody to make a decision, or they, you know, what's going on in the U.S. right now, and they're blaming the COVID highs for everything. It's just like because of the unvaccinated. It's not the case. I mean, people that are vaccinated are getting it as well, you know. So maybe. Yeah. It's not just that, you know, so it's like it's this blame game that they're doing. It's crazy, you know, but luckily, you know, I think we're in the end of it, you know. I think it's a bit worse in the US, but I think once they go over the hump, I think it's going to get better. Like, we're obviously doing very good here in Brazil as well. You know, we're on our way to, you know, beating this thing, hopefully, you know. So
yes,
it's like,
yes, fingers crossed. I love that you have this positive outlook, because I have me and myself and a few friends are still a little bit skeptical about this, you know, like coming near an end. But I like that you feel that way, you know, about it. There is this my favorite Instagram account, which I follow. You should follow as well. Is Bloomberg Business. Do you know it?
Right, I think so.
I
think I follow them on Twitter.
Okay, yeah. I love that account. It really has the most relative articles, always like up to date.
It's like a ticker. They post everything on time, like real news, real time.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Right.
And they always give really interesting reports and stuff. Sometimes about stocks, or you know, like. And they, you know, they said that recently what to expect in the next coming months. There's gonna be still like few outbreaks in the school and stuff, like it's still gonna be a little bit of that going on in the next few months.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. I mean, my school is like my kid's teacher got COVID, and my kid is grounded for a week at home. With the virtual learning.
Only a week?
Only a week, yes.
Oh, our school we have to do 14 days.
But I think he got sick right before the holidays, so it's like it counted a few days more. So
okay.
they're quarantined until the 20th.
Okay.
So it's still going on. But what I feel is that it's like they decided to abandon the idea of lockdowns. That's the good thing. I mean, you don't hear about lockdowns anymore. They say even in the U.S. like cases rising and crazy. They don't talk about lockdowns anymore.
Thank God.
No, I think that's the thing. They understood that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, you can lock people down for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later, it's going to be like the same COVID cases. Everybody's going to go back to spreading the virus and everything. And you, in the meantime, like several businesses closed.
Exactly. People are dying from starvation instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main thing. If we have to live with COVID for a while, I don't mind.
Might as well just.
But if you have to do PCR tests for the rest of your life, I don't know what people expect, so it's like at one point, like, and they started, what they started doing in the US, they stopped advertising the people who were getting COVID tests that were vaccinated.
Oh yeah?
So they stopped doing that. They don't show those numbers anymore.
Really?
They just, there was a column, like when they're the CDC and people, they would advertise like COVID cases. There was a list that they put in like positive COVID cases for vaccinated people. And then like 2 months ago, they just removed it because it was like, it's like, how are you going to get the rest of the people vaccinated if you have COVID, you're going to get COVID anyway if you get vaccinated. What's the argument? It's like, so it's like
another, and also the thing is like, I used to think like, I'm sure we all used to think like once you get the vaccine, that's it, you do one for life, right?
Exactly.
And then they came with the news that like the Pfizer vaccine leaves the antibodies for 6 months, and then you have to do retake every 6 months.
That they haven't tested for.
Yeah.
So if you have 3 of those shots in your body.
Then that's also like crazy, right?
Yeah. So is that going to mean like if you're fully vaccinated, is it going to mean it's not going to be 2 shots anymore? Is it going to be 3 shots? Have they tested for it?
It's going to be an annual shot.
Exactly. It's
like twice a year. Like.
And imagine the amount of money.
Yeah, no, of course. The Pfizer and like they're even trying to do like a COVID medicine, right? I
heard there's a guy called Brett Weinstein and this doctor called Pierre Corey, which they're big on ivermectin. They're like they every time like there's Brett Weinstein has a podcast called The Dark Horse, and Pierre Corey all the time he does YouTube videos, which they demonetized, by the way, because he was talking about ivermectin. It's like,
wow,
that's insane. Like they live off of YouTube, and they just demonetized them because they didn't censor them. They said, look, you can't go online. But same thing, we're going to take away your money. It's like he has millions of views, and they demonetized him because he was talking about ivermectin. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, and those guys are getting completely shut out because they're talking about this alternative medicine that people.
Yeah.
And the creator of the guy who first put together ivermectin, the medicine. I don't know the process how you do it, but he won a Nobel Prize for it.
Yeah.
And they treated Zika and malaria with ivermectin in Africa. It did huge benefits to the population, everything, and now it's called like the horse med or horse tranquilizer. Like this, the CDC or FDA, like they did a piece and they advertised it with someone like a woman like holding a horse. Like you don't want to, if you have COVID, you don't want to take a horse med. That was online. That was a advert.
Really?
Real advert.
Can we pull this up, please?
João, vê se você acha anúncio do CDC. Coloca advert ADVRT, ERT, CDC, ivermectina, só que sem o A no final, ivermectin, né? Ivermectin. It's just insane. And how does a regular governing body do an ad like that for a drug for a guy that won a Nobel Prize for, and the treatment it treated so many people.
Yeah.
It's so hard to imagine they don't have an agenda for it. It's like, what's behind this? Why are you going through the trouble of doing something like that? Otherwise, if you don't have an agenda behind it, or if it's this big pharma companies that it's just ruling everything, because it's a really inexpensive drug that has no patent, so they can't make any money out of it. So, and I know by my case, nobody can take that away from me. I took the medicine and I got better in 36 hours. I could work out in 4 days. I didn't, because I thought, man, if I work out, I'm gonna, if I feel bad, it's like gonna mess with my, I need my immune system to be high, and I can't get tired, but.
It's funny, I felt like that as well. Like on the 5th day, I was like, I want to work out.
Yeah, you're great, you're feeling
exactly,
great.
So. To be honest, I did try that.
The ivermectin?
As well,
Parasitic drug, ivermectin for COVID-19, poison control diseases. So, you see the livestock?
Yeah.
The advert, developing story. You are not a horse.
You're not a horse.
No, it's just insane. I mean, I don't even know if we're going to post this this podcast, if they're going to, want to take it down or something. But isn't this crazy? I mean, you are not a horse. Health officials warn people not to take livestock drug. They're calling it a livestock drug.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, and if you talk about ivermectin, they say you're a science denier, or you're a mass murderer or something like that. They were like they would.
I guess we should change the subject then, shall we?
I know, but it's crazy not to
I
go.
like your Cobb Pioneer DJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, but it's hard not to go to the rabbit hole. It's hard. It's so hard because it's so it's just insane. You are not a horse. FDA.
You are not a horse. If you wanna ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow, it's crazy.
So, why don't you tell me, how did you get from Jamaica to Ibiza? What happened? What happened?
Good question. So actually, when I was in Jamaica, I was as I told you, I was raised there from like 1999 until I was 17, and then.
What was it like living there?
Amazing. Yeah. Honestly, for a childhood dream. It was very innocent life, high education, any students from America.
How did you blend in?
I didn't.
You didn't. I imagine, right?
I was like, I don't know,
Ma.
a panda.
Yeah, Ma.
And then I was like, eventually I was like, Oreo, I was like one of the
you
people.
became one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I remember my first day in school. The children would come and take
look at
my
your hair
like I was a monkey or something. They're like, your hair is so soft, and I didn't even speak their language, English, and I learned it in 1 second, and then I was eventually speaking Patois, which is the native language there. It's a Creole.
You still speak it?
Watagwan, Wayadepan.
Oh, that's so funny. That's awesome.
Rude boy.
Awesome.
Yes, but actually when I just left Jamaica, I had such a strong Jamaican accent. You couldn't believe it. I opened my mouth and the people would like light up and they say, why you speak like Jamaican.
They wouldn't add up. Something's not adding
Yeah,
up.
you're like a market woman, you
Yeah.
know, like so funny.
Right.
But yeah, it was a dream, honestly. Like the weekends, we would meet up on the beach, like swim,
Was
like
it Kingston? Kingston?
Montego Bay
Right,
was the
Montego Bay.
tourist capital. Yeah,
Right.
really beautiful. And no, it was absolutely amazing. I had so many adventures, and I went to great school. Our school was in a 5-star hotel, and my best friend was the owner of the school. She was from Austria. We would speak German to each other, read our
Awesome.
secret language.
Right.
And on the weekends, we'll stay in the hotel because, you know, her family ran the hotel. So it was like really amazing childhood.
Right.
But when I was about 17, it was time to go.
Right.
I was like,
Right. Yeah.
had enough, you know, like, ciao, mommy.
And until then, have you traveled back to Europe or seen other countries before 17?
Yes.
Right.
Actually, every year I would visit my father in
Right.
Germany.
Right.
My parents were divorced, and it was quite nice, you know, like Christmas time to go in Germany, have the snow,
Awesome.
you know.
Also very different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it was really great. But in Jamaica, when I just moved to Jamaica, I really like fell in love with the radio. So I would like take the radio from my sister. She was 7 years older, and I would steal her cassettes. I would like record,
Right,
you know, like,
right. Yeah.
And then I was like always in my room recording mixes, and I would like start the song when it's good to start, and I will stop when it's good to stop, and I'll wait for the next song, and I record again. I was like 8 years old.
Right.
So
awesome.
like then when I was 13, I got my first computer, and then I like downloaded Virtual DJ, and I was like making mixes.
Awesome.
Yeah. I didn't even know what I was doing, and not like Jamaica. There are any DJs, or you don't have any image of DJs, like it's not a thing, you know. But it was always like.
But what music would it play on radio? I mean,
reggae, hip hop, you know.
Hip hop and reggae.
Yeah. So like I didn't.
I used to love dub reggae, you know. It's
oh
like,
yeah. It's
what's the name of the guy that just died? He was like a dub reggae don or something.
You're putting me on the spot now.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember the name as well, but it was just like this guy that he used to be like the godfather of dub reggae. You know, he just passed away.
Sax
like a couple
Dubfire.
weeks ago.
Called Dubfire.
Dubfire loves dub reggae. I think he posted something about the guy.
Yeah, he must have. Yeah, he loves dub reggae.
Yeah.
By the way, Dubfire playing dub reggae is fucking
awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mind that. Cut out the F word.
No. I think fuck is not going to be the problem that we're going to have today. I think it's going to be the least of our problems.
It's gonna, you know, like it's gonna be like the warning, you know, when you see on Instagram posts like vaccine information.
Yeah,
source.
it's going to be something between horse med and fuck, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, so yeah, back to the thing about Jamaica. So then I always loved this thing, and I didn't really know house music because it didn't exist in Jamaica. But I do have a flashback of sitting in my father's car when I was still living in Germany. He used to drop me to kindergarten every day and pick me up every day. He was always playing techno in his car.
Right.
Yeah. So like I was kind of introduced to techno, and I was like
got used to it.
I was introduced to it at 2 years old, 3 years old, like, and I remember the feeling. I really liked it.
Right.
So then eventually I won Jamaica's model search, and shortly after I went to Germany to record Germany's Next Top Model with Heidi Klum.
Nice.
So that got me the gateway. Ciao, mommy. She was very strict. She was a very strict mother.
Right.
So
she religious?
Not necessarily religious, but she was just very overprotective of me, you know.
Right.
It came to the point she was so overprotective, she didn't even want to let me go to the beach with my friends anymore. She didn't want to let me go to my friend's house anymore. She was just overprotective. So when I got the opportunity to record this show, I was like, oh my God.
Freedom.
Freedom, yeah. I can make you freedom. Yeah, no, but yeah. So I went to record that when I was 17. So I left home when I was 17. Shortly after, I won a few modeling contracts, and that would take me to Athens. That was the first contract. So I would stay 3 months in Athens and try to shoot for known magazines there, and that's usually where the beginner models go.
Okay.
And then after that, I was going to Milan, and then I made like an amazing friend there. She was much older than me, and she actually spoke to her today. And then it was around 2009. And she was like, Melanie, let's go to Ibiza this weekend. And I'm like, what's Ibiza? Never heard it before. She's like, just pack your suitcase. She sent me a flight. And then next thing you know, I was in Ibiza. And I was like, wow, it was so different to anything I ever known, like the island, you just feel this energy when you land. It's like so nice, sun shining. Then you go to the villa, and then we were going our first night to Amnesia. And then it was back in the day when they're still doing the shows, and you will be like upstairs watching the shows. It was like really entertaining. And then, but I didn't know any of the music, the house music, electronic music, never really heard it. And then the following day we went to Pasha, it was like, back in the day it was Swedish House Mafia, right?
Right.
And then I was there and I just
It's like pure Pasha on Fridays, something like that, yeah.
It was the Monday.
Right.
Yeah, and then I just didn't know the music, and then, like, everyone was so happy, and, and people were singing the songs. I'm like, how do you know the songs? I never heard before in my life. But yeah, then I just fell in love with the music.
It clicked for you.
It was like, and then I knew I really wanted to pursue this passion of mine,
You remember I was driving with your dad. Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I was 18 when it was the first time in Ibiza, and right after that, that's when I wanted to pursue learning the technical part and stuff, because I could not be doing these virtual mixes on virtual DJ forever.
Right.
It's only been like 6 years doing those mixes, but yeah. Then I got actually in touch with, shortly after I moved to Miami, because I won a great modeling agency there, and then all of a sudden, like, then you have like a working visa for 3 years, so you have to stay in the States, right? So I was staying in Miami, and then it was like, this weekend was this big DJ, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to go. I just saw them in Ibiza, right? And then next weekend they're announcing the other. I'm like, oh my God. And so it was, I didn't know, but Miami was like the pinnacle of all the best DJs in the world touring there every week,
Yeah.
So it was like definitely more and more to my calling, and then I got close friends with the industry people there, and that's usually how I met most of the DJs, like, and we became friends and stuff, and I actually started to date a DJ as well, which was not supposed to be happening. He was supposed to teach me how to DJ.
Right.
He was supposed to be my mentor.
Right.
But then in the end, the relationship happened instead.
Right.
But yeah, in the end, he didn't teach me, no.
Right. Stop the teaching.
No. But then after, when I moved to London, I was like, this is it. I need to follow my passion. And I enrolled myself in the London Academy of Music Production, and did courses there, and I did for the production, and then I
You
even
really, at that point, you were really determined to do it. And
exactly
right.
because the music was inside of me. You know, like I think you're either born with it or not. The people that have the musical side, they don't have to calculate when they 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
exactly.
and you know it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's there. You know,
Yeah.
because there are some people that are really not like that. You know, like it's everything you have to calculate and stuff like that. And then, so I did that in London, and then I even took it further, and I did this very famous school in LA. I don't remember the name, but then I did more courses there.
Dubspot?
Yes, yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then
They're great. They're great,
yes,
by the way. Yeah.
so nice. So
I
nice.
visited their New York venue. They have a school there.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
No, and the teachers there. I had one guy, Brian Koulas, such a genius, you know,
Mhm.
like, and I kept in touch with him always because when I was like having technical difficulties in Ibiza, like 3 years later, like something happened with the setup, and like I will call him like, hi, in LA, you know, like from Ibiza, like. Please, can you help me with the configuration? Oh, no, great. How do you say the word?
Say setup.
You can.
Configuration.
Yeah,
Configuration.
there you go.
Say setup.
Yeah.
Configuração in Portuguese.
Yeah,
It's easier.
there you go. But yeah, great guy. Yeah.
Right.
And I changed my setup a lot. Like.
So at that point, you're using a laptop.
Yeah, I was.
Or?
Yeah, I was. I loved the idea of playing 4 channels at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like my first setup was like 4 channels, like the bass line from one, loop on this one, loop on this one, loop on this one, full energy.
Richie Houghton style.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So that was that, and like a lot of like reverb, lots of delay, like really pushing the drops, high energy sets, and I was like more on the techno side, and then the more and more I got to tour around the world, and I was touring a lot, like every week. The more venues were not really accepting like hard techno stuff, so I was always like kind of steering more like, you know, to play for more people, but never touching the commercial side, like
yeah,
ever.
but I mean it must be hard. I mean, as a promoter, like they look at you, it's like, oh, this pretty blonde girl, you know, so it's like they tend to think you're gonna play, it's like houseier, or, you know, it's like easier music, and then you just kick them in the teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Like with some techno, you know, it's like
exactly.
that's probably what would happen, you know.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I never had complaints though.
Yeah,
but you can kind of feel it, like.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I kind of it's always that question at the beginning of your career. It's like, as a producer and as a DJ, what's gonna be your signature style?
Yeah.
And it was really a big question mark for me at the beginning. It's like, am I gonna do like hard techno, or I'm gonna do tech house, you know? Because there was a time I was really like liking Chris Liebing's style, which was like really hardcore, you know?
Yeah.
But after a few years, I think it does take a few years for an artist to really develop that sound of theirs.
Yeah.
And now it's more clear than ever. Like, my keyword is groovy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Groovy, energetic, you know, like.
But I think nowadays people tend to accept underground music. Underground, I hate that term, but they tend to accept it more than they used to, I think, at that time, like maybe early 2010s, or which is like the boom for EDM.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why, like, I was first introduced to EDM. I wasn't introduced to underground music. Yeah, actually, I was introduced to underground music in Miami, and the first night I didn't understand it. and then I loved it more than the EDM. But having have toured so much in so many countries right before Brazil was like huge shocker for me. Like Brazil is a country that was so different in every aspect. Like every week when I was touring, should I continue? Okay. Every week when I was touring, like the people are like there with you, and you are looking at each other, and you're like exchanging, I guess, energy with each other, right? Like they're dancing to you, you're playing for them, right? And Brazil was so different, but like blatantly opposite. I was like there playing for the people, and the people would not even give me a look.
They talk to each other.
Yeah,
And, yes,
exactly.
yeah.
And as artists, we're like always trained to think that if they're not like looking at you or dancing to your music, that means you're doing a bad job. But it's actually not that. It's the Brazilian culture that the people, they don't really go to the party to listen to the music. They go to the party to talk with the people and have conversation or hook up or find a partner, like that's the culture, and I didn't know that. So I was like always playing, like, oh my god, I'm playing so bad.
Yes,
They
like
hate
places
my
like
music.
Germany, a place like Germany, it's the opposite, right? I mean, Guy Pimentel, a good friend of mine, he came on the podcast and he said the first time, like, I think it was '94 or something, he went to this warehouse rave in Germany.
Yeah.
Right, and they were there with his friends, and he saw like a gorgeous girl, and he went over there to talk to her, and she was like, she let him have it. She said, "Man, I didn't give you permission to come here and talk to me," And I was just like, and it was the most important part of the song, and I missed it, and you came here and you
ruined the moment.
You ruined my moment. You ruined my night. And the guy was like, "I'm sorry. I just wanted to say hi." It's like,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, this
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah.
This is it. That's why I always say, like, there's such a culture shock, really, honestly.
Yeah.
And honestly, the rest of the world, it's like this. Like, everywhere I played, we're looking at each other, we're smiling at each other, we're dancing, we're enjoying the music together. But Brazil, it's like I'm playing to myself,
Yeah.
like.
It depends on the venue. I mean, you can go to some venues where you really pay attention.
Yes, of course.
To the music.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, thank God, like The Edge,
Yeah.
is a good example of that. But I feel like Brazil was like 10 years behind. You just said like people are starting to accept underground music more. They already did, and for many years, like I think since 2013 or like worldwide, underground music was like popping.
Yeah.
And it is popping everywhere in the world. Just Brazil like was not popping. And I noticed when I arrived, like it was just really not happening at all. But then slowly 2018, 2019 started the wave in Brazil of Afro House.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it was like everyone was like, oh, Monolink, like they're like really hot about this sound. So this was the gateway to underground music in Brazil through Afro House.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I wish you would like pick up the speed and accept like the other genres, like.
Yeah, I think, but I think it's a tough time. I mean, as a promoter, I luckily I can only do the events that I really believe in the music, and I think from these days on, it's like from the past year before the pandemic. I mean, people are really gravitating towards the sound, tech house or techno, but It's hard for a promoter, like a regular promoter that doesn't know much about music, and there's all these local acts that play kind of like Brazilian bass, that kind of sound, and they sell a lot of tickets, you know,
Yeah,
so it's
true.
easier for the guys, and they don't know music, so it's easier for them to book these regular artists, which is fine, you know, it's like, I'm not saying like nobody should book the local guys anymore, you know, these local guys are great, you know,
Yeah.
they made it through their own success, and out of thin air they basically made a sound that, you know, it's a lot of people gravitate towards, you know, but which makes like my job a little bit easier in a sense, because there are not like maybe 20 guys, you know, wanting to book the same DJs that I book, you know, the same parties that I throw in Sao Paulo. Obviously there's competition, you know,
Yeah.
but it's not like the same where you
Yeah.
go. So there was this club, and she used to take care of the DJs that went to play for the club, but
Oh,
it
nice.
was really back in the day, and she was talking, but everybody used to play there. I mean, Marco Carolla, Richie Houghton, or, you know, you name it, like Anthony Rother, he used to do his live show with the whole shebang and the whole stuff that he used to go to there, and it's like, and she used to take care of the whole programming. She would hire the DJs, and
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, so she's been doing it for a while now,
Wow, that's
and
nice.
and she looks like she's like 25 or something. You know, every time I see her, I say, man, how do you do it? Because you know, living the nightlife,
Yeah.
and traveling and everything, you know,
Of
and
course.
still look fresh as she does,
Yeah.
you know, as you do, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's hard, you know.
It's hard, you know. I have like a girlfriend in the scene, and she definitely, like, you can see that, you know, she's a DJ. It's tough, you know, as like the lack of sleep, the airplane, the dehydration. Yeah, it's definitely, if you don't keep up with.
It's worse when you
like
party, right? I think it's when you party, it's a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean everything. Also being just like in the atmosphere of the smoke, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah. But if you
It's
party, it's worse. I mean, if people really like to party and they work, and the little time that they have to rest, they decide to party.
yeah,
You know?
that's what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
for
so,
sure.
yeah.
I don't know about you, but like I am a person that, like, a bit low energy.
Right.
Like I'll play my set, and usually I have like the main set, so it's like really late.
Mm-hmm.
But after, like, I need to sleep.
I'm a bore. I'm a complete bore.
You're more great.
I'm really bored. I'm
Yeah.
there. I like to socialize. I like to see my friends and everything.
Yeah.
But you know, if it's not
No.
work anymore, and it's like I look around.
Yeah, it's like the French exit, they
Yeah,
call
exactly.
it. Yeah,
No, my
yeah.
friends call me that I use those ninja powder, you know, bombs that you throw.
And you disappear,
And
yeah.
then nobody sees you anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, you know, just walk back, and everybody's saying, "Where's
Yeah.
Sylvia?" No, he's gone.
Yeah.
You know, he left.
Same, like, I don't, like, I feel like, yeah, people are like so crazy about the after party, but I feel like just enjoy the main event, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're
Sometimes
there.
it's cool. Sometimes it's
Yeah,
cool.
sometimes it's cool.
Sometimes
like, yeah.
when you're there with your friends and you worked,
Yeah, of course.
and say, all right, let's have a drink and let's get wasted,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
have
yeah.
fun, and
Yeah.
it's fine. But the thing is, if you have to get on an airplane and fly for 4 hours the next day, and
You know, yeah, what was the biggest question for me? Like, when I would do the South American tour,
right.
I was always the golden question: should I sleep or stay awake? Because after the show, you have the flight,
Right.
but you can sleep 1 hour or you can stay awake 1 hour, you know? So I was always like in doubt, like, which is worse, sleep 1
I
hour?
always prefer to sleep.
Yeah, and I didn't know which,
Right.
I had to test it out, right? Which works better for me. So I definitely realized that sleep helped.
Yeah.
Because when I tried to go directly, I felt pretty bad in the airplane. Yeah. In the airport, I was like, that 1 hour could have really done a little
It
reset.
helps. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, and then
really better than nothing.
Yeah, and then, but it's hard. I mean, it's things you have used to. You know, it's like I usually I don't sleep if I'm not in a bed or something. You know, even if I'm on an airplane, if I'm in coach. It's hard. I can sleep if it's a really long flight. I can sleep a little bit, but usually I only sleep if I'm in my bed. And in a situation like that,
I'm the same like you.
Yeah, in a situation like that, you sleep everywhere. You know, it's like you sit down and sleep, and then you wake up. And
for
then you
me,
sleep again.
it's so tough.
Yeah.
So tough.
Yeah.
Honestly, I find it so hard to sleep in a sitting position.
Yeah.
Like even though you're like tortured, like 10 hours awake in the flight, like destroyed, tired, but you're sitting and like I just don't know how you like, I don't know, I have to feel like I'm laying.
Yeah, and I think it was Tiga, he said in a Twitter, he has a really cool Twitter feed, right?
Yeah.
He's really creative. And he was saying the airplane seat was designed by a man with profound knowledge of the human anatomy and very evil thoughts.
That's genius.
Yeah, because he was probably trying to arrest her. It's like, man, this is horrible. You know, he couldn't rest. And these planes, they fit so many people in the back, and they're like this, and they're almost like if you sleep, like you fall on your face. And it's like so bad. And
so bad.
And if
so
it's a long flight, then it's like you're fucked.
Yeah,
and then,
for sure. Did you, by the way, hold that thought, I just discovered, did you know this flaps, what they're here for?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think it's so your head doesn't tumble to the other side? Is that it?
Yeah, actually you can pull out.
Right.
So it holds you like this.
It holds your head.
Yeah. I just discovered that actually in 2017.
Oh, right. I think it's so like, and you put it here, and then you can lean your head.
It just like comes out a bit.
Right. Because those cushions, you know, I hate them because your head is already like this. So you put the cushion, it's one more thing.
Exactly.
I think it would be good like a strap, or you could strap your head to the back of the...
Actually, I saw, you know, like those...
I'm sure there's this product. Somebody came up with it.
I think they're Asians, for sure. I just definitely saw it on like an Instagram ad. It looked very tempting to buy. It was like literally a strap.
Right.
A strap in.
Right. So maybe something that grabs your nose, you look like a pig, or you use it. Yeah. I saw one where there's this big cushion where you put your lower, like the little table, and then you put your hands in there, and then you rest your head.
Yeah, I tried this position many times.
Yeah, because you're always like this, right? So if you get this cushion where you put your arms in, and then you rest your head. But
all the positions you can imagine on the airplane, I tried.
Yeah. But the danger is that if the guy decides to lean, you know how people lean the seats, like they're, you know, it lifts off, and then the guy just you know,
bam, it happened to me
many times. It hits your face, and it's like the guy doesn't care.
Smashes you in.
So I imagine if you're like this, you know, relying on the guy to keep the seat one way or another, and then the guy's like, oh.
No, you know, also like a pet peeve of mine, I used to love to produce tracks on the airplane, and then or like you're doing a track list or something, you have your computer.
Or watching a movie or whatever,
on your computer, and the guy goes like this, and your computer is like...
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Did it break? Did it break with you?
No.
Sometimes it can break. It can detach the screen from, because if it gets stuck behind the tray table, the lock or something. So if it pushes back really hard and it gets stuck in the table, it can break.
Yeah. No, yeah. Those are the pet peeves of flying.
One thing about COVID that I liked about flying is that people can't get up anymore before
I hate that.
They're going to leave. It's awesome.
I hate it.
I love it.
I
It's my
hate it.
favorite thing of COVID. It's
Really?
the best thing ever happened to an
Oh
airplane.
gosh.
Because otherwise, you know, people would get up and they would be standing here, like right beside you. Like these people would run. You know,
It's
see these
true,
people?
it's true,
It's
yeah.
like, okay, the plane landed, seatbelts, lights off. So the guy would race from the 20th row to the front
That was
of the
me.
plane. Yeah,
Joking. Not
you want to leave the place
Yeah.
as much as possible. So now people have to leave in an orderly fashion.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, that actually happened to me like last month. I was on like literally, I chose like the last row of the airplane because at the time I was in the online check-in. It said there were gonna be like so many spaces free.
Right.
Turned out we were all like sausages, and then it was taking so long, and the disembarking, and I was traveling for many hours. I started to get like anxiety and and like this long line and wait, it was making it worse. Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, it was just like getting worse, and I was like I gotta go in the bathroom. Like I was like,
right.
Yeah, it was not a good
You have
moment.
claustrophobia? Do you have it?
No, but
No fear of flying?
No,
Right.
no. But I felt like the anxiety became more present nowadays, you know. But yeah, it's starting to get better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, I think, a subject that we don't talk enough about, you know, anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you go through it and you don't even realize that it's a problem for you, but it's...
No, back in the days, like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was. I
Yeah.
never felt it,
Right.
you know. But I don't know, maybe the older we get, the older, like, I don't know, the more responsible we become as parents, you know, like, I don't know, we start to get more afraid of things, or maybe it's just the high stress I have.
No, of course. I mean, when I became a parent, I was afraid to walk to cross the street. You know,
Right? That's why, like, everything
changes everything.
changes everything.
Yeah.
It really does. That's why, like sometimes I worry about the flight as well. Like, it's like, I'm a parent now. Like, you know, like, flight is
Yeah, it's a risk.
yeah, it's a risk as well.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you have to get back grounded, you know. But it's crazy how parenthood really does change so many aspects of our characteristics. Yeah.
There are some friends of mine that they never, when they travel with other kids, they never are on the same plane.
Wow.
They take different flights.
That's-
Because otherwise, if
Yeah.
they travel together, the whole family, they're together.
Yeah.
But if they're traveling like for, you know, like a couple's weekend or some holidays or something by themselves without their kids, they always take different flights.
Wow.
Because, you know, if the flight crashes,
Yeah, of
one of them
course.
will take care of
Yeah.
the kids, you know. It's really hard, but I mean, you know, it's inconvenient,
Yeah.
you know, but still, you know. It's
But
like,
that's a really nice.
Yeah.
That's a really nice thought. And also, something similar has happened to me. Private aviation. Honestly, like, never used to be scared of it. But really, honestly, every time when, like, there is an invite to play there, you can get a ride with me, or like, no, it's okay, I'll take the commercial flight. Like, especially living in Brazil, you know, like, I've been here like 4 years now, and we had friends that we lost, you know, with private aviation.
There's a plane crash today.
Today, really? What happened?
This big industrial mogul, he owns a company called Cosan, he used to. And they were flying a King Air, they were taking off, and I think it was Piracicaba in the countryside. And the plane just took off, and then it went down like straight away. And it was the guy, his wife, 3 kids and 2 pilots.
No
And you
way.
can see like there's a neighborhood right beside the airport, and they have like security camera where they see the plane crashing, you know. And it's just amazingly wealthy family with a really safe aircraft. It was like a King Air 250, which is like really safe. And
So it's
just
2 pilots?
2 pilots and
Oof.
5 people, like the guy
Yeah.
and the wife and 3 kids.
How old were the kids, you know?
I don't know. They were probably not so young. I mean, it's just a tragedy, you know, and it's
Yeah.
just like, you know, and if it happens to this really amazing, wealthy guy, and it's really safe plane, you know, but shit happens, you know.
Yeah. No, it's
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's tragedy.
Did they have any report yet,
I
or
don't
not
know.
yet?
I have some friends that are pilots that were talking about it, and it's like on and off. You know, it's like
But they say
say
it
it's a
was
mechanical failure, or if it's a mechanical failure, the pilot should have done that.
maintenance.
Yeah, I think it was talking. I don't know if it's true or not. They said the plane was in repair, and then it came out, but they didn't really fix the problem, or all sorts of stories that you hear. I'm
Yeah.
not sure which one
Yeah,
is
you
true,
never
but.
know, yeah.
Bottom line is that, you know, it's like it's definitive, you know, it's like that's the thing. I think that's what scares
No.
you when you get on a plane. It's definitive. It's not like, oh, we're gonna, you know, break my arm, or it's like
No, yeah, no, but honestly, like private aviation just scares me really.
Yeah.
I'll take the commercial flight
I had
100 times.
I had a really bad time once. I was flying with a Brazilian airplane called Bandeirantes, which is like
Sounds Brazilian.
yeah, but I had a really good, like a lot of the airplanes that Biden left in Afghanistan were Brazilian.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of Embraer flights, kind of flights, it's like these fighter jets that we make here in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
It was part of the U.S. Army. But we were flying this Bandeirantes plane, and we were coming from Rio to São Paulo.
How many years ago?
Maybe 18 years ago, 20 years ago. And then we were flying.
I was just born. I'm joking.
Then we were flying to São Paulo, and then it was about 15 people on the flight because it's a big plane.
Yeah.
And then we went into a cloud that had all these ice rocks in it. It's called granizo here in Brazil.
Uh-huh.
And the roof of the plane, you can hear like blah, 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 blah. It looked like a popcorn popper, and it was like everybody started getting terrified. And it's like this noise, like really loud noise, and the plane was going like this, like really bad wind. The weather was horrible. And then when it landed, the plane landed, everybody was like kissing the floor. It's like everybody hugging each other. It's like,
can you imagine your stomach was sinking?
Yeah, it's like, it's terrible. It's a horrible sensation where it's like,
yeah.
Helicopters are scary too.
Yeah,
I mean,
that as well.
Helicopters really scary. I mean, they're so convenient that
Yeah.
you go through the risk of it, but
Yeah,
because
not
it's so
anymore.
convenient.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a 5-hour trip. You have it like in 40 minutes.
Yeah,
and it's
of course.
so easy,
Yeah.
but it's really scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I get scary.
Yeah.
I get scared, but it's not much to say about, you know.
You
but,
get scared.
But I go through with it, you know. It's like I'm scared, but I go through with it.
Does Jo, is she scared of?
As both, like, but she doesn't mind. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't mind as much as I do. You
Yeah,
know? But
yeah.
you know, but it's cool. It's cooler for her than it's for me.
Good.
Chicken shit. Yeah.
Well, same here, buddy. Same here.
Mel, it's a great talk.
Thank you.
Loved having you here. Maybe we can do it again.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
We can talk
Next
about.
time we do it in Portuguese.
We do it in Portuguese. All
Yeah.
right. We'll put the subtitles. It'd be great.
Yeah.
And let's do it again when there's shows to talk about.
Yes.
Jet lag and
Sounds
bad
great.
hotels and all
Yeah,
this stuff.
yeah. Sounds great.
It's more fun. Valeu, João. He wants